un relato mucho más coherente con la Constitución colombiana de 1991 y estamos cambiando un relato clásico en el que probablemente la gente se sentiría mucho más cómoda, ¿no? Un relato masculino, un relato blanco, un relato de triunfo, un relato muy parecido a lo que en términos de opinión pública general pues está generalizado, y estamos cambiándolo a un relato, a relatos de nación mucho más coherentes con una nación multicultural, pluriétnica. También hemos acogido un nuevo espacio que se llama Fragmentos, que es un espacio de arte y memoria que está de arte contemporáneo, en donde se está exponiendo la obra de Doris Salcedo, que se hizo con las armas de las depuestas FARC, el arma de las depuestas de las FARC. Pero digamos que ahí el tema es en este espacio en donde hay una apuesta curatorial de la que hemos estado hablando desde la museografía. Precisamente hay otros actores que son muy importantes, que son los mediadores, los guías, quienes estamos haciendo parte del grupo de educativa, que estamos precisamente estableciendo los diálogos cotidianos con la ciudadanía en general. A veces en una conferencia, con este ejemplo que ponía en términos de decir, estamos abiertos al diálogo, pero que sea respetuoso, y esto muchas veces quienes llegan a las salas, digamos que no tienen todavía no tienen claro este mensaje, y uno como mediador no sabe muchas veces con quién va a dialogar, ¿no? Y en términos de las opiniones. Nosotros llevamos un tiempo al interior del área educativa precisamente pensando en esto, en qué significa también que somos sujetos políticos, qué significa también de alguna manera esta negociación interna que hacemos nosotros, entendiendo a los públicos, la llamamos como una curaduría educativa finalmente, para negociar estos temas sin que eso no esté significando pues el conflicto, ¿no? El conflicto que se tiene muchas veces con las personas que le dicen a uno directamente como, pero yo quiero saber, ¿usted cómo se llama? Mayali. Bueno, yo quiero saber qué piensa Mayali de lo que está exponiéndose aquí en el museo, ¿no? Una cosa muy interesante, que me parece que es un tema del que tenemos que compartir, del que tenemos que discutir muchos más, porque uno pues va encontrando salidas, va encontrando lugares seguros con su mismo equipo, pero es muy como interesante reconocer en torno a esto de que estamos hablando, de repensar el lenguaje de los museos, de pensar en todos estos actores que estamos haciendo parte de, que muchas veces ya no está de pronto ni la dirección ni la curaduría en sí, como en esas negociaciones, ¿no?
Quiero decir algo muy chiquito
para complementar lo que dice Mayali, que me parece muy interesante, y es que use la noción de curaduría educativa, ¿no? Y como, digamos, como pensar la curaduría no como un oficio exclusivo de unos ciertos, de unas personas, sino pensar la curaduría como puede pensarse incluso como un lenguaje, digamos, ¿sí? Se puede equiparar a esa categoría, como un lenguaje propio o en el cual hay muchos expertos en el mundo de los museos, ¿sí? Que no es exclusivo de aquellos que se han llamado como curadores, digamos, tradicionalmente, pues porque la manera como funcionan organizativamente los museos también se ha transformado, ¿sí? Justamente por esa apertura a los públicos que han tenido los museos. Eso ha implicado que haya transformaciones también en el tipo de personas que trabajan para el montaje de las exposiciones, ¿sí? Lo comunicativo tiene mucha más relevancia, tan importante como la investigación es la comunicación, lo museográfico, el diseño, no sé, en fin, como todos estos múltiples oficios que se estarían reuniendo en una especie de forma de hacer del museo propia de, o en la que somos muy expertos en los museos, que puede agruparse en algo como la curaduría, ¿sí? Es como un poco para agregar.
Lo mismo como complementando. Sí, pero...
complementar. No, súper bien.
Bueno, entonces démosle que
Carlos, no, para de pronto hay, para ya la última complementación, es de pronto si podría el profesor Peter Van Mensch hablar en el marco de lo que él teoriza en su trayectoria académica, de que las funciones del museo son la comunicación, preservación y la investigación, y cómo estas están interconectadas. De pronto creo que podría ser un buen marco para hablar de eso.
Yeah. First, what you said, you used everything that you said was relevant. The two terms that you used are extremely important in this context. You spoke about stakeholders, and you still spoke about negotiation. And there are key terms here. Yes, I didn't use these terms, but for me, they are very important. You very seldom, only in a sort of private museum setting, one person decides about everything. But usually in public museums, it is teamwork. Yeah, and I'm very much in favor. But that is already, if I may say so, in the Netherlands, it's common practice since the 1970s. An exhibition team should be a person responsible for content, usually the curator, then a person responsible for communication, being from the educational staff, and somebody responsible for conservation, and then probably also something responsible for marketing. If you do not work together, then you have a problem. If the educational people are left out, then you will end up with an exhibition that is not understandable, not accessible, and that sort of thing. If you leave out, of course, if you leave out content, what's the use of the exhibition? But also conservation should play a role in it. But also the marketing person, the discussion about titles. I've seen so many museums that in the end the marketing person invented the title, opening ceremony, and other publicity which is far away from the intentions of those that made the exhibition. So it should be teamwork. And so all these members of the team are stakeholders. They all have a stake in this process from different perspectives, sometimes also from very different sort of training. Unfortunately, not everybody working in a museum has a museological training. It's a tragedy. What can we do? But as you rightly indicated, stakeholder is more the government sponsors, the board of the museum, the visitors. There's a whole range of stakeholders, and I think to some extent, well, we all are too busy. Well, you are too busy. I'm retired. I'm just traveling, enjoying myself, and talking too much. Usually you are too busy. But at the start of the process of an exhibition, you should make a stakeholder analysis. So, who are the people having a stake in this particular sort of process, and how do we perceive the role of the different stakeholders? And in the end, it is a negotiation, and the outcome is a process. And cannot always say in advance, but would be the outcome of this negotiation. But again, I'm repeating myself, but this negotiation itself is also part of, could be part of the storyline. And of course, you do not need to identify all the stakeholders and say what all and write what all these stakeholders have said. But in principle, I think, well, this idea of having these teams within the museum is implemented in the organizational model that is adopted by the major museums in many parts of Europe by now. Maybe not so much in Germany, but in the United Kingdom and the Netherlands. Is that what you were referring to? Instead of curatorial collections-based organization model, a function-based model. So many of the traditional museums are organized according to the collection. Different departments have a head being the curator, being the scientific expert. But there's not a single museum in the Netherlands that is organized that way. And in the Netherlands, for example, since the mid-1970s, are organized according to the functions. So you have a department on collections, a department on communication, education, whatever, department on management, and department on collections is subdivided into department on documentation and conservation and research. That is for the collection part of it. To some extent, the backstage sort of component. And then the other part, communication, has then a section on exhibition and a section on education. When I not entered the museum field, but when I became part of the staff of the National Museum of Natural History in the Netherlands, I became head of the Department of Exhibition and Education. So my role was to coordinate the exhibition work as well as the educational work. And for me, there were two sides of the same coin. By definition, an exhibition is an educational project for me. But of course, that was at that time, 1976, rather controversial still. And the curators, they said, well, this Peter van Mens, he must be a very bad scientist, otherwise he would never have got a job. I mean, for them, there was a distinction between genuine academic curatorial work and doing education and exhibition. That has changed.
Hello. I have a few questions, punctual, very punctual. The first one is, how can we avoid neutrality in museums and narratives when political environment dictates censorship? That's the first one. The second one is, how can we build honest expositions or displays in a more transparent way in our museums narratives, especially working with uncomfortable heritage? Those are the questions.
I'm very fortunate, never having been a museum director, because I can say everything. My wife has a problem. So she always has to compromise, which itself is not a bad thing, because it challenges you to keep your mind sharp. Yes, of course, I'm aware of authorities that in some way or another influence your decision-making process. And I was referring to Saxony, the elections, and the regional elections ended up that the right-wing party did not become the most important party. So they are now discussing the forming of the government, but they will not be part of the government. And it was a relief for everybody working in the cultural field, because it would have been traumatic to have a minister of culture of this right-wing party. And well, in the pause we discussed it with some of you, that the right wing is increasingly interested in cultural projects, well, at least in Germany and in the Netherlands. Yeah, and when these right-wing groups, parties, whatever, become in control of the government, then you have this issue of possible censorship, like in Hungary and in Poland. It's terrible. In Poland, for example, director of new history museum was being fired because the government, right-wing, extremely nationalist right-wing, could not agree with the content of that history museum. The interpretation of history was not in line with the agenda of this political party, so the director was fired, which they could do because it was a governmental sort of museum. The director of the Jewish museum in Warsaw also fired, and then they had a new procedure, and then he came out as the best candidate, but he was not hired. So, yes, I'm aware of all these sort of issues, and I cannot solve that. You know, in some way or another, the people of, for what reason, the people of Poland made that decision. And maybe until recently I believed in democracy, and maybe I have my doubts now, but that's not fair. When democracy results in something that I do not agree with, what is then the value of democracy? I don't know. I have no answer to this. It keeps me awake for a long time. But yes, but again, referring to what we were discussing before, yeah, we should discuss this in open. We should put that on our agenda, discuss it, and you see the amount of support that this fire director from the museum in Danzig, Gdansk, German word, I should use the Polish name, Gdansk. The director got so much support internationally. So it is on the agenda. The whole issue is on the agenda. It's being discussed. What is the critics, and what could we do? Yeah, he lost his job, but he got another job, I think. But he lost that job. And since, as long as his government is there, you have no solution. But I'm not an historian, but I know that governments can sit a long time, but there always an end to it. And museums have a high survival sort of rate. Now I forgot your second point.
It's how can we build a honest narrative?
Microphone.
I'm going to repeat. How can we build honest expositions or displays in a more transparent way in our museums' narratives, especially working with uncomfortable heritage?
Yeah, how can we should be honest. I mean, we are what we are. And unfortunately, if you look at the composition of Dutch museum staff, it does not reflect the multicultural elements in the Dutch society. But that is something that we have to work on. Yeah, I'm also sitting here. I'm very much aware of my limitations, and there's never been a time in history when people like myself are being criticized. I mean, in the past, I would perhaps be defined as a wise man, being old, and now I'm accused of all the problems that you have. In my generation, being white, heterosexual man, I'm not poor, I'm nothing, you know, I'm a bit ironic, but I take this very serious, because a very serious sort of issue, and I have to ask myself again and again and again why I'm here and what I'm saying, and to what extent is what I'm saying influenced. That's why I started to say, well, you know, I come from the Netherlands. I am, well, the formative years politically, sociologically are the late 1960s. Now, I would like to a little bit contextualize everything that I say later, but that's how I feel about it. I'm not saying that my ideas are better than any of yours, but I can only share my ideas, and then we can have a discussion as we have here. And same as you made when you make an exhibition. You can only make an exhibition, well, within the framework of your stakeholders, and probably you left out a few. And then maybe others will challenge you, and so we can enrich our understanding of the biases of our work.
¿Una pregunta más?
Más que una pregunta es un poco, ahora que estamos justamente hablando de actores o de grupos de interés, pues digamos que es uno de los puntos que nosotros abordamos desde la especialización en sostenibilidad y que nos parece muy importante justamente en esto que estaba mencionando tanto Sofía como Mayali, frente a pues, nuestra pertinencia social y nuestro relacionamiento y nuestros procesos de negociación con los grupos de interés. Claramente yo creo que en Colombia en los últimos años, pues digamos que eso ha sido un avance, tanto cada vez más los museos abren o generan espacios de diálogo y de negociación, ¿cierto? Porque una cosa es participar y otra cosa es ser un activo negociador. Y en ese orden de ideas me gustaría un poco, nuestro programa justamente tiene modalidad virtual para poder llegar a diferentes partes del país o de otros países de habla hispana. Y me gustaría también invitar a los estudiantes de la especialización que pues, si bien mañana vamos a tener una sesión de 8 horas de trabajo, sí me gustaría un poco como que nos contaran un poquito cosas muy específicas desde sus proyectos de sostenibilidad en museos, en instituciones culturales diversas, en diferentes partes, en Medellín, en Becerril o acá en Bogotá, y un poco cómo se ha tratado que estos proyectos de sostenibilidad justamente se basen en uno de los aspectos importantes ha sido ese proceso de negociación y ese proceso de involucramiento no solo hacia la sostenibilidad social sino la sostenibilidad financiera. Entonces, Rosa.
Thoughts, yeah, but yes, of course, we should be aware of the tensions within the staff, of course. But I hope that in the museum we can achieve a sort of atmosphere of openness and exchange of views. Yeah.
Bien, pues sin ánimo por supuesto de ser concluyente ni mucho menos. Creo que de esa pregunta que nos hacemos por los museos neutrales a la necesidad de comprender y entender las subjetividades y las intersubjetividades de nuestros grupos de interés, incluyendo las personas que están al interior de la institución o del museo, y a partir de ese trabajo empezar a garantizar una gestión, como lo decía el profesor Gamboa, sostenible, que permitan la transformación de estas instituciones y sus entornos. Gracias por continuar en el seminario.